Show.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're listening from in the world. My name is Jacqueline Dixon, and you're tuned in to the Ordinary People Show. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things, and we're broadcasting live from Toronto, Canada on this beautiful sunny Saturday, the last Saturday in January. And this is a weekend, guys, that is for me one of the most exciting weekends of the year because it's a memorable one for so many occasions, and I'm sure it's a memorable one for so many of my listeners and viewers. This is the weekend that we would generally be getting prepared to go to the big kickoff brunch at the Ontario Black History Society, as we would do each and every year in preparation for the momentous occasion which starts on the 1st of February, called Black History Month. And everybody would be getting their hair did and getting ready for the great production, the show, the speeches, the honorariums, and all of the keynote speakers and performers that would generally attend this gala. Just a year ago, we were so excited for it. And things do quickly change, though, don't they? But you know what? We're still here, and the occasion hasn't changed, although the surroundings have changed. We might not have the venue, but the occasion hasn't changed. We are today getting ready to kick off another Black History Month, our 26th year of Black History celebrations here in Toronto, Canada, or Canada on a whole. And we're going to be starting off right here on the Ordinary People Show. So I'm going to be doing my little part in addressing this fabulous topic, and I hope you are excited about the show that we have planned for you today, because as I said to you, for those who follow me on social media, whether it is Facebook or Instagram or the Great Betting Kingdom page, we've got a fabulous show today filled with some nostalgia, some great videos, some tutorials in regards to the legacy of Black history here in Canada. And all of that is going to culminate, of course, with a one-on-one interview with the legender herself. I call her our national treasure, and that is the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine. And she will be gracing our show in the second half, and we're going to be discussing her legacy and the impact that she has had on the Canadian Black experience here in Canada. So ladies and gentlemen, before we get into today's show, I'm excited. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. If you're tuned in to GBKM TV on our brand new platform, thank you so much. We are in the process of migrating over to our brand new website, again, which is www.gbkm.TV. You can tune into GBKM TV 24 hours, 7 days a week. Fantastic programs to listen to throughout the course of the week, live programs, as well as 24-hour radio playing the best in R&B, soca, hip-hop, and so much more. Make sure that when you do visit us at www.gbkmtv, you download our free app and take us with you wherever you go. And don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. For those of you who are still watching us on our Facebook, which is Great Betting Kingdom, hello to you. Like and share the video, please. And then, of course, I'll be sharing this as well to my Ordinary People page, so that we can get the news out about today's show. Today's show wouldn't be possible, ladies and gentlemen, without the sponsorship of New Era Communications. New Era Communications is a professional speaking platform dedicated to training up-and-coming sales professionals and entrepreneurs. Is your company struggling with the sales process? Would you like to know how to attract new business? Would you like to know about the gift that keeps on giving, which is what will be continually driving revenue into your business? That's called the sales process, ladies and gentlemen. And you can learn about the ins and outs of the sales process by attending any one of New Era Communications seminars, workshops, or potentially taking part in a virtual class. Contact neweracommunications.ca to learn more. Ladies and gentlemen, we also want to give recognition to the fact that GBKM is bringing on some brand new shows to the platform this year. Please visit our website at www.gbkm.tv to learn about the upcoming shows, some past shows as well. We want to thank all of our listeners, all of our viewers, our sponsors, and our media partners for supporting us through this very strenuous time. And know that GBKM is right here for you throughout this entire process. We will make it through this together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're going to take our first commercial break, and we're going to come back and start our Black History lesson, our Black History kickoff show right here on GBKM TV. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back after the break.
You can officially download our free GBKM app from the App Store and the Google Play Store, okay? Now, what is the best thing about this app? Well, it is that you have all of the features from the website that is portable, in your hand, ready to use and ready to go. Now I'm just gonna guide you through what we have available on our app right now. So here, this is the page where you can watch our live TV, our GBKM TV. You can watch live, enjoy the shows live. Now, if you go to our tabs, you can check out any shows you missed in the past shows tab, and that takes you to the past shows that have happened in the last week. And if you just scroll down, you can see those past shows in order, chronological order with their dates next to them as well. So if you've missed a show, no worries, just go to the past show tab and you can catch up on your favorite GBKM entertainment. Going back to our menus tab again, you can check out our upcoming shows so you do not miss any past shows. You can check out our breaking news section, which is our newest section as well, to learn of any breaking news within the diaspora, across the globe, all of that good stuff, so you can stay engaged and up to date on what's going on with our breaking news tab on the GBKM app, and also available on the website. And as you can see, there are other tabs there. You can listen to our live radio, our live TV. You can learn more about our on-air personalities by going to our OAP tab, all of that good stuff.
Thank you and welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ordinary People Show. My name is Jacqueline Dixon, and I'm your host. And I'm settling in with you for the next 45 minutes as we take a walk through a historical lesson on Black legacy right here in Canada. And, you know, I'm preparing for the show today. I'm saying to myself, I had so many things running through my mind today as to how am I going to do the show? How am I going to share the information? What should I focus on during this time period that we're spending together? And believe me, it was the most challenging thing to finally pinpoint or narrow down what my main topic of conversation is or would be, and where my emphasis would be today. Because Black history here in Canada could never completely be told, the story, in any 45-minute time block, for sure. But I'm gonna do my very best to walk you through what I believe to be some of the most important topics of concern for me where Black history is concerned, and some of the things that have taken place in my lifetime that have ended up becoming a very, very, very emotional time or emotional experience for me as a Black Canadian here in Canada. So first of all, I want to mention that it is my favorite time of the year. One of the reasons why it's my favorite time of the year is not just because it's Black History Month, but Black History Month then also leads into what, ladies? It leads into International Women's Day, and that makes this whole time of the year such a very, very special experience for me. So let's start off with Black history here in Canada. Let me ask you, how much do you really know about Black history here in Canada? As a young Black person growing up here in Canada, my experience with Black history, like so many other Black Canadians, was whatever information was shared with us through our educational system. So whatever information was shared with us through the educational system is the most amount of knowledge that we could have potentially gained about Black history here in Canada. And at that particular time, it was very little to none. And that was really disheartening as a young black person, because you don't get to really appreciate and accept and feel pride in your identity, because you cannot see yourself being represented in any of the historical moments that are discussed during your history lessons. The War of 1812 was one of the very first things that really opened up my mind to the lack of knowledge that is shared about black history here in Canada. And although today's show is not a show to discuss that in any great length, I would urge you, for those of you who do not know about the War of 1812 and what an important occasion that was here in Canada, to do some research about it, because it's the one particular time period that I feel was totally withdrawn or removed from our history books in the right and proper way. The information that was shared about the War of 1812 was not shared accurately. The impact and the influence that the black Canadians, or the individuals who came through the Underground Railroad, had on the War of 1812, that the Canadians won successfully, by the way, as a direct result of the contribution of the runaway slaves that fought with the British against the Americans. If not, Ontario could have potentially been another U.S. state. But we successfully won the War of 1812 here in Canada, and it was as a major result of the contribution of the Indigenous population, as well as the black Canadians, at that black Americans who had run away by use of the Underground Railroad. And as a result of the success that was achieved in that war, there was a settlement that was given to the blacks at that time, and it was a settlement that was known, I don't know if what we're calling it today, but as a little girl it was known to us as Upper Canada. And Upper Canada is what we call up north. There was a settlement called Oro-Medonte. And Oro-Medonte, again, is a show for another time period, and I have a lot of personal experience with Oro-Medonte. But that was one of the very first areas that were dedicated to the black Canadians at that time, and it was given to the black Canadians through the Canadian government as a direct result of their contribution towards the War of 1812 and the success that we had. So again, that particular story is not for today's show, but I urge you to look up that information, the War of 1812, and the influence that the black Canadians had on the success of that war. So let's get back to the black history legacy here in Canada. When we talk about black history here in Canada, most people think about two names, I believe. One name is Harriet Tubman, right? And the other one, I hope, would be probably Marcus Garvey. So Harriet Tubman was the most famous conductor on the Underground Railroad, and she's the one that was directly involved and directly attributed to the in excess of 300 slaves that found freedom as a result of going through the Underground Railroad and coming north into Canada. So we know a lot about Harriet Tubman. We've heard her name many different times, and we have also heard about Marcus Garvey, but I want to start with Marcus Garvey today, and the reason is because Marcus Garvey, in my personal opinion, is the nucleus, is really kind of the center of the revolution that started afterward, and has eventually evolved into what it is today, modern day. So for those of you who don't know enough about Marcus Garvey, I have a video clip that I'd like to share with you, and I want you to take this in. For those of you who maybe have heard his name, but you really don't know about his legacy, let's take the time to appreciate Marcus Garvey today, ladies and gentlemen. Take in this 4-minute video, and I'll be back to chat about it right after.
Economic independence. Although some of his goals were controversial, his crusade would inspire leaders from Malcolm X to Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela.
Garvey was certainly a controversial figure, but the concepts that we now think of as Black nationalism and Black pride started with Garvey's pronouncements.
Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Marcus Garvey wanted to return African Americans to Africa to create a vibrant Black nation, empowered through economic independence. Although some of his goals were controversial, his crusade would inspire leaders from Malcolm X to Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela.
Garvey was certainly a controversial figure, but the concepts that we now think of as Black nationalism and Black pride started with Garvey's pronouncements.
Marcus Mosiah Garvey was born in St. Ann's Bay, Jamaica, on August 17, 1887. Beginning as a printer's apprentice at 14, Garvey became a union organizer and later worked various jobs across Central America.
Marcus Garvey found wherever he went, Black people of African heritage in particular were always on the lower stratification end of society. This had a profound impact on him. Particularly, his concern was for the uplift of African people globally.
In 1912, Garvey sailed to London, England, and took night courses at Birkbeck College. After working for a Pan-African newspaper, Garvey returned to Jamaica in 1914 and formed the United Negro Improvement Association, or UNIA.
The UNIA was about Black self-determination. It was about galvanizing the ideas of Black repatriation to the motherland, the continent of Africa. And it was extremely important in terms of getting Black people to understand self-pride, pride in one's race.
Inspired by Booker T. Washington to raise funds and start his own school, Garvey came to the United States in 1916. And in 1918 began publishing the Negro World newspaper.
Garvey was extremely outspoken. He was, some people would say, almost bombastic. He wanted to take over Africa and had elected himself as president of Africa without consulting the Africans, unfortunately.
Determined to achieve economic independence for African Americans, Garvey launched the Negroes Factories Association in 1919 and a shipping company called the Black Star Line, which he planned to use to transport passengers back to Africa.
Garvey was a great organizer, but unfortunately not a great businessman. During the time that Garvey and the UNIA were trying to launch the Black Star Line, they solicited funds from investors for stock options through the mail. And this resulted later on in allegations of mail fraud, and Garvey was convicted and sent to prison.
After serving 5 years in prison, Garvey was deported. He eventually moved to London, and in 1938, he supported the Greater Liberia Act, created by known white supremacist, Senator Theodore Bilbo from Mississippi.
Marcus Garvey's association with Senator Bilbo is related more on a practical level rather than an intellectual like for each other. Marcus Garvey's attempt to help Africans in America leave and go to Africa fell in line with some aspects of KKK philosophy.
Garvey died in London on June 10, 1940. He was reinterred in Jamaica in 1964 and is hailed as Jamaica's first national hero and the prophet of the Rastafarian religion.
Although Garvey was a flawed leader, he's someone who is really important to the history of the Black radical tradition. He was probably one of the strongest voices of Black nationalism in history.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you took that all in. You know, I can never get weary or tired of watching that clip that kind of summarizes the great Marcus Garvey's life in just a mere 4 minutes. And that's to show you the impact and influence and power that this gentleman carried throughout the entire world at a time when Black people still didn't even have the right to vote. So Marcus Garvey definitely is in our top 10 most influential black leaders of our time. And I want you to know the connection that he had with Canada was a very strong one. And the connection, of course, that Marcus Garvey had with the Caribbean, knowing that he originated from an island called Jamaica, that gives a lot of pride to a lot of the Caribbeans, especially the Jamaicans, to know that they had such an influential figure until this very day that is still being recognized. But with respect to Marcus Garvey in Canada, did you know that Marcus Garvey first visited Canada in 1917? And here's an interesting fun fact for you, ladies and gentlemen. In 1917, Marcus Garvey visited Montreal, and at that time he was helping to spread Garvey's gospel of black pride right here in Canada. And last year, in his last year, his niece, which was a 20-year-old woman by the name of Louise Langdon, she also immigrated to Montreal. And she became a believer in Marcus Garvey's philosophy of black pride and self-determination. In 1918, at the Garvey Conference in Montreal, she met an African-American gentleman by the name of Earl Little. They married in 1919, and the union produced 7 children. One of whom, those 7 children, later on changed his last name to the letter X, aka Malcolm X. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to that one. Now we're going to move on. I want to talk about 3 more individuals that also make today's list of individuals that we need to honor right here in Canada. And we're talking from left to right. We're talking about Elijah McCoy. We're talking about the Honorable Michael Jean. And of course, we're talking about Viola Davis. Let me just give you a quick rundown on how important these 3 individuals, what an important role these 3 individuals play. So you've heard the term the real McCoy, right? You've heard that term before. And a lot of people use that word without necessarily knowing how it originated. Well, the real McCoy is generally used, it's a phrase that's generally used to give credence to anything that is considered to be original or to be the very best or top of the line. So we like to use the phrase, boy, that's the real McCoy, to emphasize the validity of on any item or product or service. We want you to know that it's the very best. Well, that came as a direct result of this gentleman by the name of Elijah McCoy, who was an inventor here in Canada, and he held 57 United States patents. So mostly related to railway, of course. His inventions, which were not headline making outside of the field of stream of engines, were also associated with the quality of goods function that people began using. That's when people began using the term the real McCoy. I thought that was really, really interesting because a lot of people use that term and they don't really know where it came from. While the majority of Elijah McCoy's inventions related to lubrication systems, he also developed designs for the ironing board, the lawn sprinkler, and other machines as well. So although McCoy's achievements were not really recognized in his own time, his name did not appear on the majority of the products that he devised. But now you know a little bit about how that ties in. So next time you use the term the real McCoy, give some credence to Elijah McCoy, the inventor, the Black Canadian inventor who came up with that, who that phrase was coined after. The next we have Michael Jean. She is more of a modern day a historical figure here in Canada, and one to be very, very proud of. She's our first African-Canadian Governor General here in Canada. And considering all the scandals that are taking place right now with our current Governor General, to know that this lady was not only the first woman of color, first African woman of African descent to hold that position here in Canada, she held her office successfully for the 5-year term with no scandals, no uproar, and she she certainly didn't have to resign. So we have so much to be proud of her for. Michaëlle Jean was Canada's first Governor General of Caribbean origin. She originated from Haiti. And she's also the third female Governor General, the fourth youngest as well. And she, again, served her term for 5 years successfully here in Canada. And of course, there's the image that everyone's become very familiar with now. Why? Because it's on your $10 bill. It is the image of Viola Desmond, and she has been a force to be reckoned with, and I'm so excited that she's getting the recognition that she so deserves. And who was Viola Desmond? Well, Viola Irene Desmond was born July 6, 1914, and she lived until February 7th, 1965. She was a Canadian civil rights activist and a businesswoman from Nova Scotia. And she, in 1946, challenged racial segregation at a cinema in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, by refusing to leave the whites-only section area of Roseland Theatre. And for this, she was convicted of a major tax violation for the 1-cent tax difference between the seats that she had paid for and the seats that she used, which was more expensive. So, Viola, that's one occurrence that took place with her has left such a mark on Black Canadian history that till this very day, we're still talking about the type of historical significance that being an activist can actually amount to, simply by choosing not to leave a whites-only section of a theater back in the early 1900s has led to other individuals of color being empowered enough to speak up and speak out about injustice. And today she's being recognized on the Canadian $10 bill. So that's so absolutely cool. I wanted to bring you that piece of information, and those are the individuals that I wanted to share with you today in case you didn't know enough about them, or maybe you've heard about them but you didn't know their background. And I wish we had more time in the world to go through all of the other influential players, but we don't. We'll have to leave that for another day. But while you have the opportunity to hear about them on today's show, please do your best to do your research and look into their lives, the journeys of these individuals, so that you can gain additional knowledge, so that you can tell a friend to tell a friend. Black pride is strong, and it's very much alive in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said to you, today's show was going to be a combination of videos, some little chit-chat about some influential players that have played a significant role in our Black history here in Canada. And of course, as I've mentioned, it's going to culminate with a one-on-one interview with the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, who we will start that interview right after our commercial break. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to sit tight right now, get comfortable, and don't go anywhere, because we're going to be right back after this quick commercial break with the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine.
Hello, I am Alton Brooks, your stock market and financial literacy expert. Look out for my new show coming soon on gbkm.tv, Smart Investing with Alton Brooks. Catch us live on Monday, February the 8th at 9 p.m. at www.gbkm.tv. You will learn how to get smart about your money, how to understand risk reward and diversification. You will also receive tools that will help you to become a better investor, which in turn will help create generational wealth for you and your family. This is a show you don't want to miss. See you soon, and I'll see you at the top. Hello, I am Alton Brooks.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ordinary People Show. My name is Jacqueline Dixon, and I'm your host. Excited about today's show because it's the kickoff show for Black History Month right here in Canada. And the Ordinary People Show decided to dedicate today's show to teaching a few lessons and sharing some information with individuals who might not have, ever looked into some of the historical figures that have played a prominent role in our lives here in Canada. And for those who are not from our community, please, by all means, thank you so much for taking the opportunity to enjoy this show. And tell a friend to tell a friend, like and share the video. So, who do we have online with us right now? Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I want to introduce my mentor. And she's just, I have too many good things to say about this woman. The one and only, the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine. Dr. Jean, welcome to the Ordinary People Show.
I am so very pleased to join you today.
Thank you so much. And as I said to you earlier before I started, you look absolutely stunning. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because we want you around forever and a day with us. And I'm so absolutely honored and pleased that you took this opportunity to kick off the Black History Month here at GBKM by giving us an exclusive interview. So you've taken out some time of your day to chat with us. There's a number of things that we want to talk to you about, of course. We have lots of questions to ask you, and we'll try to get through them as quickly as we can because we know you have an extremely busy schedule. For those of you who are not familiar, and I can't understand why you wouldn't be, let me just quickly give you a brief synopsis as to the powerhouse lady that we have on screen today. Dr. Jean Augustine was the first female MP and cabinet minister, social justice advocate, teacher and principal. Born 9th of September 1937 in Happy Hills, Grenada. I love the name of that. Jean Augustine was a trailblazing and is a trailblazing politician and social activist, elected the first Black female member of Parliament in 1993, appointed the first Black woman in cabinet in 2002, and named first Fairness Commissioner by the Government of Ontario in 2007. Her legacy includes the Federal Declaration of February as Black History Month, a motion she introduced in 1995 that went over unanimously. Thank you so much for that. Dr. Jean, before we talk about what your current initiatives are, I want you to take us quickly back on a walk back in the day. Back in the day where you decided that you were going to take up this challenge, and as the first and only Black, female in the House of Parliament, to actually want to champion such a delicate issue such as Black history. What inspired you to do so? And tell us, what was that experience like when you did decide to put your foot forward?
Jacqueline, that's a long story. At the same time, I think it's an interesting one. Having been an educator, I started as a domestic worker with a Jewish family when I came in the early 60s. Toronto was a different place. Toronto, we didn't see the faces that we see today. We had no Charter of Rights and Freedom, Section 15, that spoke to the fact that you can't discriminate on the basis of age, religion, sex, nationality, etc. And so a landlord could say, it's for rent, but not to you. There were several things in the society that needed adjustment and needed to be inclusive and needed to make the society the just one that we wanted it to be. So as an educator, I was looking to the textbook and to the curriculum modules and to whatnot to find things about African Canadians so that the young people in my classroom could understand the people of African descent, could understand how long we've been in this country since 1603, that we have documentation about being in this country. And yet, at the same time, the only mention in some of the social studies programs were around the Underground Railroad and Canada being this shining place to the north, and everyone was fleeing to get to. And nothing about Canada's Indigenous Black people who've been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. By the way, Jackie, there was nothing also about our Indigenous Métis or Inuit people. So something I was always finding information, going to the library, putting things together for classes. But I was also at the point, and I've said this several times, where if an inspector, as we used to call him, a supervisory officer, came to the classroom and saw my chalkboard with all these things about African Canadians and say, "What modules are you at?" I could not justify where I was because I had to make it up. And so when the opportunity came, Black History Month was being celebrated in the US since the early 1900s, 1926, Carter G. Woodson. The Black men who were working on the railroad, going to the US, coming back with information. The Canadian Negro women celebrating church service and other, celebrating Black History Month. And the talk that there was Black History Month in the province, celebrated in the city of Toronto. And the Ontario Black History Society pushed for recognition in the city of Toronto of Black History Month. Then they went on to petition the federal government for a proclamation. And I was in Parliament at the time and was told, we are sending a letter back to these people who are asking us for a proclamation to say that the federal government does not do proclamation. And I was kind of a little upset by that. I said, well, then what can the federal government do to acknowledge the African presence? And I was told, well, if you wanted to do something, and I mentioned Black History Month in the US. I mentioned the fact that we were doing things in Toronto. And they said, well, if you want to ensure that this happens across Canada, you have two avenues. One is you can make a motion with all party consent, and secondly, you can do a private members bill. And I knew that if I tried with a private members bill, that it would take forever for my bill to get through, or for my bill to be pulled anyway for discussion. And so I thought I would go with a private members motion. And
Now,
so,
Dr. Jean, just to quickly,
yes.
at that time when you decided to do that, must have been very risky. I mean, like you know, it's hard enough knowing that you are this
Yes.
only person of color sitting in this, chamber, but then to bring up such a delicate topic like this, did you sense that you would have had the support, or were you just hoping against all hope that you would get the support?
Well, I
eventually?
felt that I could move people to some acquiescent with me. And actually, I had to work through with my house, with my own caucus and with my house leadership. And I was told over and over, if you want unanimous consent, you cannot put anything forward that is debatable. At the same time, remember, we're talking about the early 90s. We were not talking about diversity and inclusion. The issue of discrimination and prejudice were top of people's minds, and they would express it in no uncertain terms. And as I started to work with my colleagues to convince them that I wanted sanction and I wanted them to agree, I had pushback. And I did not take the pushback literally, because I figured that pushback was almost agent provocateur, provoking me to pull back. And so when someone said, so Augustine, you want February, who's going to come for March? Or when someone would say, hey, Black History Month, huh? So when are we going to have White History Month? And so, I had responses that more or less took the pinch out of, the puncture. And so I would say, oh, I thought every day was White History Day, White History Month. And And so I walked through one by one. Remember, we had in the parliament at the time, we had the political parties that were very diverse. We had the Reform Party, and not the conservatives as we have them today. And so there was a lot of pushback. But I plodded through with my staff. We made sure I spent all of any free time I had, I spent it meeting with people, sitting with them. And the motion was very simple. As I was told by legal, don't put forward anything that would be debatable. And this is what I put forward, Jackie. And 4 parts to the motion: that this House take note of the important contribution of Black Canadians to the settlement, growth, and the development of Canada. The diversity of the Black community in Canada. The importance of the history of Black Canadians. So there was nothing there to debate. And then I called on the House to designate February as Black History Month. So when the Speaker asked, does the member have the thing to put this motion forward? Is it agreed? There was nothing to debate, and so I got the response, agreed.
Fantastic.
At the time, I had schools and the museums and researchers and whatnot in my curriculum writing in mind. I did not visualize it would be 25 years later that we would have Black History Month celebrated throughout the nation, in entertainment, in media, in churches, in corporate bodies, in educational settings and classrooms. Everywhere, Black History Month is recognized, and Black History Month is used as a way of ensuring that the entire Canadian population is aware of the presence of African Canadians.
Thank you so much for that.
We've moved over the years, so we're not going back into Underground Railroad and going back into slavery and going into this, because the pandemic has now pushed us into that recognition of systemic discrimination and why it's so important for us to know our history, to know the history of each other so that we could respect each other and we could recognize our diversity.
Thank you so much for that. And I can attest that, it's individuals like you and many people, many of my colleagues feel the exact same way that I do when it comes to individuals like you, that we really grateful for what you bring to the table. And the fact that you didn't just simply complete your career, take your pension like so many MPs do, and just go off into the obscure. You decided to reinvest into the community for all of this time. When you consider the length of time that you've been out of Parliament, people don't recognize or realize the length of time that you have been out of Parliament, because your work has never ended. Your work has never ended, and you continue to sow the seeds, you continue to grow our knowledge, and you share with us this endless, in my opinion, encyclopedia of experience and knowledge that I never get weary of listening to. So we need to make sure that, as I said earlier, that we treat you like the national treasure that I believe that you are, and please keep doing the things that you do in our community, because we so do value you and what you have to share. Now, 26 years later, 26 years. I saw that 25th anniversary celebration at the Black History, at the Ontario Black History Society. What a fabulous celebration that was for the 25th year. I remember the 24th year as well. I was there. I've been there for the last few years continuously. And it was such a wonderful experience to know that this is what your work has culminated in, that 1,000 people could be gathered together from all over Canada in order to celebrate the beginning of the of February as Black History Month. and we have so many events that take place throughout the course of February. Normally, you'd be on roller skates right now, right? Yeah.
Now I'm on constant Zoom.
Yeah, going from one event to the next to the next, and we appreciate
But
that very much.
Jackie, I think it's also important for me to say that I have devoted, and I think I started way back, born in Happy Hill, St. George's, Grenada, grew up in an extended family situation where service was the bottom line. And my life is really a life of service. I've never given up the community. I started about 60 years ago, and I'm still there. There are people in the community I still see as part of my team as we work forward on those issues that face us. And Black History Month is celebrated throughout. I was in Nunavut when I had the invitation from the Nunavut Black History Society. I said, Nunavut has enough people, Black people there to form a society. And when I went, the numbers of people, both Inuit as well as the African Canadian presence in Nunavut, who showed up. I was in Fort McMurray. I was in different parts of BC, way in the north. So everywhere. And it is the fact that we are here in Canada. We are making our contribution. We're part of the society. We're entertainers. We're in media. We're in education. We are in politics. We have been making our contribution in every sphere of endeavor and everywhere that we find ourselves in this country. It is important for us to recognize this, and Canadian society to recognize this. And Black History Month, I want to underscore that it's not just for Black people. Yeah. Black History Month is Canadian history that all Canadians should know about. And so as we look back, we look at the present, and we think of where we have to head in terms of diversity and inclusion so that every one of us could be a person of worth. It's important for us to know each other's story.
Wonderful, thank you. So I wanna now fast track to the initiatives of today. What initiatives you're currently involved with today? Because I know that you always keep yourself busy. But there's one that I was made aware of a few years ago that I thought is just absolutely outstanding, and it boggles my mind that you're still fighting your way towards this challenge of meeting the needs of this this chair. And yes. I wanted you to take the opportunity to talk to us about it. But before we do that, I want to show a video to my listeners and viewers so that they can get an appreciation for what you're going to briefly discuss after we watch. Please,
all right.
Go ahead.
My name is Jean Augustine. Let me say a few words about the Jean Augustine Chair in Education, Community, Diaspora. That chair is an important one for community and diaspora as we work with the... My name is Jean Augustine. Let me say a few words about the Jean Augustine Chair in Education, Community, Diaspora. That chair is an important one for community and diaspora as we work with those issues that we must face with research, with data collection, with community engagement, and a place for young people who are doing their studies at university can work with a professor with expertise in these areas. The Jean Augustine Chair was started in 2007 as an agreement between New York University that I will provide the $3 million to enable and facilitate a chair, a community chair. Since there was no community chairs across the country that's fully funded, fully endowed, because the endowment goes in perpetuity. The endowment is a $3 million endowment. The donor raises the $3 million, and the $3 million go for the upkeep of the chair, the salaries and other things that are used by the professor who holds the chair. It's also important to say that the $3 million is endowed and only the interest is used. And so for a chair at the university to deal with those issues, especially those issues that face us today, when we're talking about diversity, inclusiveness, when we're looking at our young people and the opportunities that must be there for them in corporate boardrooms and other places, it's important that they see themselves reflected in the university setting. And so the chair, the endowment of $3 million goes to keep alive the chair for in perpetuity, and that the interest is what is used. We've collected so far about 1.8 million, and we are now seeking 1.2 million. So help us to reach our goal. Help us to make sure that we have the endowment complete so we can do the important work of the chair.
Thank you so much. So, what we're looking at right now, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, is the promo poster, which will start circulating through social media as early as Monday, from what I understand. And this program is called 25K in 25 days. Now, Dr. Jean, because this is the Ordinary People Show, I would like you, please, if you could explain the 25K in 25 days in very layman terms for the average person to understand why it is so absolutely critical that we all take part in ensuring that this goal is met and this chair is finally established.
Thank you, Jackie, for the opportunity to speak about this, because this is my passion. When I was Minister for Multiculturalism with some responsibility for chairs, I was amazed that in all of the universities in Canada, we did not have an endowed chair. And when I questioned this, I was told that one has to come up with 3 million. We worked really very hard. We've now got to 1.8 million, supported by York University, tax receipted from York University, by York University. I collect no money. Everything goes to York and directly to the endowment. Accenture has come forward with some support for us, 25K. And they have offered to match right up to the end of February. Whatever donations are given to us, it will be matched or doubled by Accenture. So, as you say, any ordinary person out there wanting to give 25, 50 or whatever, know that it's going towards the endowment for the chair. It will be matched by Accenture, and we're trying to do all of this to see how far we can get in the month of February.
Fantastic.
So 25K, 25 days in February, 25 years since we've been celebrating Black History Month. So you can see the connection of all the 25. And if we can say that we have raised X amount of dollars towards this 1.2 million, or Jackie, if you have someone out there listening and can come up and say, I want to finish this endowment for the community, because the chair is for the community, by the community, this would be a legacy, and would be my legacy, and would be the legacy that we would pass to our young people. We can't pass them the baton without putting some structures and giving them something in place that they can look to. We can give them the scholarships and the whatever. But if they walk through the university and they don't have a sense of self, then somehow or the other, I think we're doing a little bit of a disservice to them. It's important for us to be everywhere in the society. It's important for us to hold every position within institutions. It's important for us to be seen in endeavors that include the entire Canadian community. And so let's help Accent, let's help the campaign to get the necessary funds. My thanks to Accenture. I'm calling on any businesses out there who want to match Accenture's donation to us, who want to be part of that appeal to raise the necessary money. It would be so great if, as we come out of the pandemic, we can say, after the reflective time, after the focus on systemic discrimination, after the focus on diversity and inclusion, that we have completed the chair at York University, and that the chair can now have the funds to do the necessary work. And this is going to go on in perpetuity for your children, your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children. As long as the university stands, the 3 million is endowed 3 million will create for us those opportunities.
Thank you so much for that. And I've some exciting news to share with you because for my listeners and viewers, that was breaking news, by the way, that Dr. Jean shared just with you just a little while ago, because that information has not been shared on any of the airways at all. Matter of fact, she was getting prepared to announce this on Monday is when it's officially going to kick off. So we were just very, very fortunate as to get the breaking news on the 25K in 25 days.
Great.
And here's what I want to say. I want to say a little of this about that. The thing about this 25K in 25 days is that I know how passionate Dr. Jean is about this chair. And I know that there's very good reason why she's passionate. Because if you're tired of other people telling our stories, then this chair should be of utmost importance to you. What Dr. Jean is going to have accomplished as a result of establishing this chair is to ensure that we are the ones that are going to be able to tell our story about our time here in Canada. This is where this is going to be the central point for information sharing, where Black history and our experience and our influence and our input in Canada is concerned. So you never have to be able to scratch your head again and say to your daughter or your grandchild, you know, I don't have an answer to why we are not being recognized here, or I don't have an answer to that question. You do have an answer, and it's going to be found in this chair, because this is where all of the historical information about the influence of Black Canadians in Canada is going to be held. And in order to have this completed so that it lives long after we are gone, she is looking for another $1.2 million. And we're only starting off by asking for 25K in 25 days. Now, saying all of that, I feel I have to do my part, because every little bit helps. And so what I'm announcing today is I'm personally going to be making a donation to that chair today. And I challenge any other radio host out there. I'm challenging any other radio host out there to match or beat my contribution of $250 that I will be personally giving to the organization today. And in order for GBKM to continue to assist in any way that we can, we will be running this video, that video that you just saw, Dr. Jean, for 25 days throughout the month of February as well, so that our listeners and viewers can get an appreciation for the project on hand. Okay, so excited to share that with you, and I thank you so much for taking the time this morning or this afternoon to kick off the Black History Month, my Black History Month with me. I so much appreciate that. And before I let you go and round up the show, I will give the floor to you to give us some final words of encouragement in this pandemic on how to appreciate and celebrate Black History Month in a pandemic.
Well, Jackie, all I need to say is that we have to ensure that as we go forward, that all the learnings, the Black Lives Matter discussions, the systemic racism, the anti-Black racism, all of those things that have kind of come up to the top as a result of the gaps that that we've seen through those discussions and through the reflective times that we have spent throughout 2020 and at present. So let's empower each other. Let's see the potential that there is, and let's have Canadian society recognize that diversity is our strength and the way forward must be inclusive and that no one should be left behind.
Thank you so
Jackie.
much. Thank
And
you
all
so
the
much.
best.
You have a wonderful rest of your Saturday, and we look forward to the journey of the 25K in 25 days with you. Thank you so much. Make sure you
Thank
share
you.
the good news with us. Ladies and
Thank
gentlemen,
you.
that was the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, and we appreciate her so much for joining us today on the Ordinary People Show and kicking off Black History Month. And for those of you viewers who are excited about the project of 25K in 25 days, please follow Dr. Jean and on her website, or send us an email. We will give you the links that are necessary in order to make a donation towards the 25K in 25 days. We can do this as a community, ladies and gentlemen. We can do this as a community. Don't let other people tell our story. If we want to be the narrator of this story, then we're going to have to participate in any which way that we can. And that means that the challenge is now in your court, the ball is in your hands. Please give as generously as you can, because again, as you heard Dr. Jean say, our donations will be matched, and as a result of that, we're going to be that much closer to achieving the goal of having a chair permanently established at York University to tell the history of the Black influence here in Canada for years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up the show today by thanking you, the listener and the viewer, once again for joining us on the Ordinary People Show. And I'm wishing you the absolute very best Black History Month as you celebrate at home while we're in a lockdown. But listen, this too shall pass. Don't forget to check out GBKM each and every day on our brand new platform, www.gbkmtv. We are migrating over to our new platform. Come and join us over there, and don't forget to download the app. It's free. It's fantastic. 24-hour music, live shows and programs, 7 days a week. And what more can you ask for? The Ordinary People Show is always here. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you the absolute best possible week. And once again, happy Black History Month. Cheers.
GBKM TV, the station with a vision. GBKM TV, the station with a difference now. Slim Flex said so. Big up Ghana.
You can officially download our free GBKM app from the App Store and the Google Play Store, okay? Now, what is the best thing about this app? Well, it is that you have all of the features from the website that is portable, in your hand, ready to use and ready to go. Now I'm just gonna guide you through what we have available on our app right now. So here, this is the page where you can watch our live TV, our GBKM TV. You can watch live, enjoy the shows live. Now, if you go to our tabs, you can check out any shows you missed in the past shows tab, and that takes you to the past shows that have happened in the last week. And if you just scroll down, you can see those past shows in order, chronological order with their dates next to them as well. So if you've missed a show, no worries, just go to the past show tab and you can catch up on your favorite GBKM entertainment. Going back to our menus tab again, you can check out our upcoming shows so you do not miss any past shows. You can check out our breaking news section, which is our newest section as well, to learn of any breaking news within the diaspora, across the globe, all of that good stuff, so you can stay engaged and up to date on what's going on with our breaking news tab on the GBKM app, and also available on the website. And as you can see, there are other tabs there. You can listen to our live radio, our live TV. You can learn more about our on-air personalities by going to our OAP